us three guys wanted to come to you and everybody who's going to be watching this on YouTube and on the website and everything as well afterwards to have some out of the box tools and ideas from three millennials that do not come from the insurance space to really shake things up and stir the pot a little bit and say, hey, outside of the core two or three technologies every agency is using, here's some other things that might actually accelerate it. So what I'm going to do is pull up a stopwatch and we're going to rotate. So, one of us will go, we'll bring a technology or a tool to the table that we know could help you guys increase your revenue or your efficiency. We're going to talk about it as a group for 5 minutes, and then we're going to rotate to the next person. We'll probably do a couple rounds of this, see how far we can get. And then whoever hangs with us on the live call today, we would love for you guys to share in the chat technologies you're using, tools you're using, whether it's softwares, whether it's direct mail systems, like it doesn't matter. We're talking tools and technology. So anything you can share, we would love to bring that to the table and have that discussion as well. And then we'll just kind of see how this thing pans out. We'll have a conversation. So who wants to go? Who wants to go first?
I guess I can lead it off there, right?
Ooh.
I think in this, modern time, obviously technology, we want things to be fast, and I think part of that is our customers and our leads expect that same speed, right? So one of the things I wanted to talk about was just dialers, right? Like, I know we all use an auto dialer. I find it essential to my personal day. And I'd be interested to see in the chat if any of our attendees here today use a dialer in their agency. Is that something that you implement for your team? And if so, do you set daily goals for them, like daily KPIs on what you want them to hit? I'd be interested to know what type of technologies everybody's using currently. But really what I wanted to kind of piggyback off of is that speed topic, right? So I know most of us are purchasing leads, most of us are investing in the data, and I don't think we really realize like how a pretty cool report. It was a case study, and basically what it showed is like the different contact rates on internet leads, specifically in the insurance space. And what this case study concluded was that if you can receive a lead and reach out to it, say in the first 5 seconds or less, you're going to generate your strongest contact rate. And that makes sense to me too, right? I mean, if somebody goes online, they say they want to get an auto or home quote, when do they want that, right? They probably want it right then and there. And if we wait, it's very easy for their motivations to change, or even worse, they're contacted by another carrier or another company. So, between 0 to 5 seconds, if you can call out to that new lead, you're going to generate over about a 40 to 50% contact rate. Now, it's pretty difficult to do, to be able to receive a lead, assign it out to the correct team member. The team member then has to recognize that they've gotten that piece of data and then make the decision ultimately to call out to that person. Now, after the first 5 seconds, contact rate drops down 10%. So we go down to 30% contact rate just between 5 to 10 seconds. Between 10 to 30 seconds, you're at a 20% contact rate. Between 30 and 60 seconds, about 10. And then just after 60 seconds, so after 1 minute of receiving that data, you could be generating as low as a 5% contact rate. And that really hit me. I was really astounded to see that. I was like, man, you got to be lightning quick. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts when it comes to, dialers? Is that something that you guys have found beneficial? I'd be interested to know about that.
I first encountered my first dialer at like a very small company. We had two salespeople, and I just remember going from the Stone Ages of like spreadsheet to dialer, and this was at a time before there were like auto dialers. This was just literally, like your contacts are in here, and there's a phone button you can click and manually call them. So for me, that like opened up a whole new world of possibility that I could sit there and control my phone calls from a computer just to start with. But I know that from Tim and my perspective, we both worked inside of an office where people were expected to make between 150 and 250 calls per day.
Sure.
And because of that, they were able to generate a lot more revenue than any other company in the space. So first of all, I would think for anybody on here who's like not using one, probably worth looking into. But number two, I'd be curious like what tools are out there that make it easy on the salesperson, because ultimately like I always struggled in different admin roles getting our sales team to actually use the dialer, and it was
Mhm.
always another excuse about something that would hold them up or something that would slow them down. And so for us, like we almost had to strip down our systems to not have, these CRMs and auto dialers, like they'll have 20 fields they've got to fill out, and it's just too much because your salespeople and team members just get busy. They don't fill it out, and then you have outdated data. It's not working like it should. So curious, like what you guys think about how to keep it simple and like what's the bare bones that it should look like for somebody um, to where it actually is still effective. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's making sense or not,
No, it
but
does. I mean,
like
ease of use, I
usability.
think. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge obstacle. I think whenever you're making a switch to, any platform or any new technology in general, there's always some learning curve, right? So I think that there's some heartburn associated with that. We got a message from David here with Allstate. So they use Call Logic. It's okay, helps with making the phone calls, he said.
Hmm,
Producers are required to make about 80 outbound calls per day.
okay.
80 outbound calls per day. And I'm curious, I mean, what from the group here, I mean, what are you seeing as like an average number of calls, or what's your daily goal for your team to make on a daily basis? I think 80 is a good number. 200 calls. Wow.
Chantel with the 200. So
Yeah.
Chantel, that's your expectation, and that's fantastic. Is that a pretty consistent? And also, are these LSP telemarketers? Are they just telemarketers? Are they straight LSP? What's their role look like? Is this the glorified outbound sales type of a role, or what it is it as well? That's great, by the way.
Three to
Telemarketers, Tim
400.
Dieter, 3400. Yeah. Click to dial from lead manager. Okay.
Wow.
Consistent calls, EverQuote to help us with leads. Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. So we've got kind of a range of activity, right? And I think, for what I've seen, right? I mean, it depends on the person's role, certainly. And I see the telemarketers kind of popping up in here, which, not to get too far off topic here, but how many people in the call here implement telemarketers abroad to do their dialing?
Hmm.
Kind of curious on that. Is everybody on your team stateside? Everybody's local. Everybody's local. Got it. Got it.
Can we talk about that actually? Can that kind of segue?
I would love to.
Because we're sitting
Absolutely.
at 120 and I started the timer late anyway, so I'll reset this. So let's talk about outsourcing work real quick then. So I'll bring three companies to the table right out of the gate. So well, I'll only bring two, only two people that I've actually spent like a lot of money with: Upwork.com
Hmm.
and Freelancer.com. And you guys are probably familiar with these, but uh, various people we're involved with like couldn't operate. I mean, there's just so many companies we see that are so successful that really what they'll do is they'll take a look at how their team's time is consumed, and they'll say, what of these tasks should we pay somebody offshore to do, and what can they do themselves? So it's not always about you hiring somebody offshores to do an entire role. A lot of times it's about hiring like somebody to come in and do the cleanup and if you have salespeople doing a follow-up email after every quote they give, and it takes them 2.5 minutes and it keeps them from getting on the next phone call, is that email a task that you could either automate or go to upwork.com and hire somebody for $6 an hour to do for you? So one thing I like about Upwork, and then I'll let you guys go, is I like the auditing. I like that you can
Hmm.
have the person actually be required to have a screen recorder going throughout their entire working session. And as the person paying them, you do have the ability to appeal charges. You have the ability to build that relationship. But one thing I'd definitely be cognizant of is if you find freelancers on any of these sites that have very, very good ratings, they're either just a complete rock star or they're part of a house, right? They're part of a group, an owner
Right.
somewhere in the world, the Philippines, Bangladesh, whatever, and they've got 5, 10, 15, 20 people that work for them, and they're always fishing for partners. So if you find a freelancer that has done some good work for you, I'd approach them and say, who do you work for? Or do you work with a group? Because what we've found is if you can get in contact with the guy or girl who oversees that whole company, who has all these workers out on the pages, they'll generally give you better pricing, more attention. They'll stick to quality at a higher level because you can build out a strategic partnership with them. So I bid my time to you guys, and my part's done.
You just gave me an idea, Andy, and I think I got a golden nugget. So golden nugget alert for
Ooh,
all the participants here.
we need an air
So
horn.
we really do. So one of the things I know that we implement in-house, and this has come right from the top down, is probably every single quarter, we're asked by the owners here what is the 20% of your day that if you could delegate that out to somebody else would allow you to, increase your production 80%, right? So what is that 20% of your day that's really kind of holding your production back? And if we can create a standard operating procedure around it, let's hire a virtual assistant and delegate that work out to them so that the team can start to focus on that 80% that's really driving the revenue. And we're starting to delegate those lower responsibility tasks out to VAs. And Andy, just to kind of circle back for anybody that's not familiar with those websites, could you give them one more time? It was upwork.com.
Upwork.com, freelancer.com. I use Freelancer all the time for design work, and you can post a contest on freelancer.com, and you'd be surprised what that look like. Let's say one of you wants a logo created, right? Or one of you wants a flyer created, or whatever. Like instead of going out and trying to take all the hours to create it yourself, and instead of paying a digital marketing company, what you do is you post a contest on freelancer.com. You put a price tag on it. It'll suggest an amount. It's not a lot of money, 20 bucks, 40 bucks. And then you launch the contest as a guaranteed contest. It'll cost you like $35 fee. I'm just telling you, if you put out a creative contest for any work you need done, at least I can speak to creative work. Billboards, your direct mail, right? Your website, like different things, design elements, your marketing. Um, you'll get like 200 to 400 entries within 72 hours. And like some of it's horrible, but there's a lot of really good stuff. And then it allows you to sort through it and rank them. And then once you actually award somebody, it does an IP handover. So you can actually own the rights to it all the way down to a contract. And then they have to release the files to you and you have to approve those before they get paid. And a lot of times those designers would be willing to do edits. So I've seen logo creations, flyer creations, Brett and Tim, like a bunch of different stuff. And also they'll do coding, programming, they'll help you with your Zap funnels, they'll help you with scraping data of referral partners on LinkedIn. Like you can find anybody to do anything. But the point is, you can probably spend $100 on design work on freelancer.com, the equivalent seriously of like hiring a $5,000 to $10,000 marketing firm to consult on your logo, because you're getting like 200 to 400 people's input. The chances that one or two of those are brilliant are there, because there's really good designers or workers that it takes them 5 minutes because they're brilliant. So what, they're in Bangladesh and they get paid 20 bucks. To them, that's a good amount of money. And to you, it gets the work done. So
You're getting that
freelancer.com,
arbitrage, right? You're getting
arbitrage. Yeah.
that pay arbitrage between the local pay rates, which I think is great. Another website I found really useful is Fiverr.com. That's
Fiverr.
Fivver.com. And I'm going to send those out in the chat box to everybody, just in case anybody's looking for a potential virtual assistant or telemarketer. I know you can search by title on any of those websites. There are a couple companies out there that pre-train the telemarketers in the insurance space, which is pretty cool too. I know specifically the Teledudes, and then also Caller One. So if anybody's looking for somebody that might be pre-trained, there's solutions on there as well.
Hey Tim, can you you're really good with design work. Speaking of, do you think that you could throw down these names on a sheet and we'll integrate them afterwards into the eliteperformerclub.com together, and so we can have like a guys, we'll throw up a page for you. Every one of these technologies, we'll throw them into a block with a little write-up of what it does, a logo, and a link to their website. And if we have a referral coupon for you, we'll provide it. But Tim, do you mind just making note of what we're blazing through so we can go back and get it out to them afterwards?
I'm on mute. I apologize. Yes, that answer is yes. Always will be yes. Always has been and never will change.
Well, without further ado, what's your technology? We're ready for a Tim Thompson tool, a triple T.
Oh man, you know what? I'll be honest with you. It's one that you gave me. I hate doing this because I don't have any of my own great ones. But I gotta
Come on,
go with duck
you
soup,
have
dude.
to. You
I gotta
have
go
to.
with
You
duck
already
soup.
went over
Duck
duck
soup's
soup.
my favorite.
Bring us
It's
something
my
else.
favorite.
Talk about
All right.
Facebook. Talk about Facebook to us. Like, can you talk to us about
Oh yeah.
because we didn't talk about this until after the after session last week. Like, can you please just bring to the good people of Team Hired, like
Quick
what it is?
story.
Oh,
Quick
okay, go ahead.
story. I had difficulty sleeping last night, and I woke up and jumped on Facebook real quick. And who was active? Tim Thompson. So if anybody knows about beating Facebook to death, it's this guy right here.
No, I was up last night. I was. It was a long story. It's a long story, but nothing bad. It was actually a good thing. But I was just putting in some extra work with something different. So I I guess essentially what it is like I look at, people are interesting. I really think they are. And then sometimes I just get into reading what they'll say. Not exactly what they'll say, because it gets into politics, and it might get into other things, maybe about their opinion or something I really don't care about to hear about, right? But what I will say, people will tell you just about everything that's going on. So I get into these, loopholes of finding different groups or places, and out of nowhere, just you can find a boatload of people who are interesting. I just go at them,
How
and
do you find them, Tim? Because I know like all the time you're like, look at this guy, look at this gal we could do business with, but like they're very relevant results. So for like
oh yeah,
agency owners on here that are like, how could I use Facebook to go build better relationships, maybe with like potential referral partners, business partners? Like, how would they go about, for instance, going and finding a local business owner that might be interested in doing a co-op with them on some sort of a referral partnership?
the easiest way, I'd say, the easiest way would be to honestly probably find someone that they know who's already connected. Now, the way that they do that is just trying it out. So, for instance, if it was like a mortgage guy, right? Or if it was like a mortgage guy, or like a, let's say, a roofer, something that involves in the house or in the home that you can connect with just one person and see who they are connected with. So that's the strategy. It's not like it's that strategy of 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in this situation, it can equal 20. And you just find one person who's connected to everyone.
So you go
And
into their friends
yeah,
list and you like look, and then you just click individually through and like, who's this person? Who's this person? Kind of like that. Like you're just, is
yeah,
it manual
find
like
out.
that?
You could do that. You can find out. I think one of the easier things too is to just like a big name in the town. Like
Mhm.
I know people know those things, especially with having an insurance agency. Most of you can attest to this. You're probably a decent part of the community, unless that town is just like crazy huge and has tourism and maybe like may defy the odds of that situation. But chances are that you're big in that community, and there are other people who have in their own category a stronghold in their niche too. So you have to find who that person is. But you don't necessarily have to find them directly. You can find people who are attached to them. Maybe like what we call the 6 degrees of separation in that sense. It's like in your town, it's probably going to be two
Kevin
or three
Bacon,
people tops.
the Kevin
Yeah,
Bacon
yeah.
thing.
It's interesting, dude. What's your thoughts on that? I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that. 6 degrees of separation, I think is real. I think it's a real thing.
Yeah,
You
Brad,
know,
you,
it's ironic. I literally just heard about this like 2 weeks ago for the first time.
Oh,
And
really?
I'm
Oh,
usually
dude,
all over these types of sayings, and I was mind blown when I saw some examples of the
it's
six
a real
degrees of
thing.
separation. I mean, I think, as like an actionable thing for that, like what you could do is like, just have your team like look on Facebook and find out like who's crushing it as a mortgage broker, right? Like
Hmm.
who is the Michael Jordan of mortgage brokers in your market,
mhm.
or maybe real estate investors, somebody that's connected, right? Like I've got a guy here I can think about in my hometown of Rochester named Marty. He's putting together a very successful real estate investment company. He owns a
Mm,
lot of property, and now he's spinning off into this coaching business, right? One of his first endeavors, he's got this tour bus that he's running, and he's trying to fill
Hmm.
these tour buses to go around and check out all of these flips. I actually sent his contact information over to one of the local agencies here and said, hey, hunt this guy down and just tell him that you want to help stack this bus, right? And one of the salespeople did that. They were actually helping him find other folks in the area that were interested in looking at flips or rental properties. This guy became his biggest advocate. I mean, he is shouting this salesperson from the rooftops
oh,
now.
wow.
And I think that's
Huge.
kind of a cool example of how you could use maybe not even like 6 degrees of separation. Maybe it's like 1 degree of separation. Maybe
Yeah,
it's somebody
tops
right in your
three.
backyard. Yeah.
Right.
And I think the kind of powerful lesson for me out of that was like, it was just purely a mission to serve first, to
Mhm.
build that relationship. And now that they've got that relationship and they were looking to serve, now, they're reaping those rewards later on. So they're getting that harvest. So I just learned about the
Mhm.
6 degrees of separation, and it kind of brought that example to the front of my mind there. But I definitely think it's a real thing.
Yeah, no, it's
That's awesome.
I guess that's the way that that cookie will crumble, if you will, in that sense. Because I mean, and I use the duck soup thing, but it's similar. It's just like you doing it your way. It's like real personable. You just go directly and you attack it. But people are people. People, we have to remember that whether we know them or not, it's really easy to get to know someone when you have a valued interest into trying to do so, rather than what it is that you're interested in. It's hard then, because then they avoid you. But
How consistent do you feel you got to be with that? Is that like an everyday thing? Is it a once a month thing to be successful? I mean,
oh, it's got to become a habit. It has to be like, if you're going to, I would create it similar to if the way you would make calls. It should be a part of your prospecting day. So instead, it's a creative way to prospect now. So
mm,
I think a lot of and I'm gonna come out and say this is it's very, like, it wouldn't be considered abrasive, but it's something that I noticed. Just market research alone, I keep a lot of notes. And I speak to a lot of agency owners, or I speak to a lot of business owners who say, look, I have a really difficult time hiring. And I started to curtail a question to say, hey, I wonder why. Like, why are you having a difficult time hiring? And they're saying, hey, it's a great resignation. And I hear a lot of things, but then one person one day had told me and say, hey, look, could it be me? Am I want to make sure that I'm coming with the tides of I'm going with the tide. Like, am
mm.
I changing as well, or am I still the same? Am I expecting this to be what it was like 25 years ago when I got in, or am I hip to the game now? And it was interesting to me that they took that approach, because is it? I mean, is it you're dealing with a new playing field now. So these guys are into different things. They're into social media. They need to be coddled a little bit differently than when you came in. So the person that they're looking for may not necessarily be there again. We have to create. They have to go with the tides, and those people who go with those tides, the people we know of, like Nicholas Saka. He's got like that approach. He's a very successful agency. And he's grown pretty quick for getting into it. Someone was just telling me about him yesterday. And what he's done is he's made it interesting. So when people prospect with him, they're on social media, they have free reign, they want to work there. And I think what I'm saying to that is like, do we have a place where they want to work? Is
Mm,
there a place where they
mm.
really want to work?
Company culture, right? One of the 3 C's.
Yep. There we go. There we go. You mentioned that earlier.
And I don't know if like when I joined the company, when I interviewed with Dave, I think he was probably the best at that, right? Like that I've ever met in my life. I had already, quick story, I had already accepted a position before joining the team here. This
Mhm.
was many, many years ago, and I was pretty set on joining that company. And luckily, I had a friend that was part of this organization, and he said, you got to talk to Dave first before you make any decisions. Just talk to Dave. And I said, okay, I'll definitely give him the time. I'm always interested in looking at every opportunity. But when I walked into Dave's office and I saw that every wall was glass, it was open, it was bright, it was inviting, it was energetic. He had a studio, a full studio for recording content. He had a full library of
Mm.
sales and self-development books. He had an oxygen bar. So if you got tired, you could go wake up real quick with some fresh
Are you
oxygen.
serious?
He had a hyperbaric chamber. It cooled you down to like negative 120 degrees in less than a minute. It was
What?
like walking into the Google office. And as soon as I
Mm.
walked in, I said, I got to be a part of this organization. And I think to, kind of take a lesson home from that, maybe you don't have to go to that length, right? I'm not saying go out and invest in a hyperbaric chamber, but, just kind of thinking like, I think we all kind of get used to walking into the office with that same lens on, right? That same paradigm where we're kind of used to seeing the office and the way that it's set up. But I encourage you, look through, the eyes of somebody that's walking into your agency for the first time. Does it look
Boom.
fun? Does it look energetic? Does that look like somewhere where they want to spend more time with you and your team than they do with their own family? Because honestly, when I looked at Dave's office, I was like, yeah, I could hang out here all day. Right? Like this is amazing. I wanted
Mhm.
to be a part of that. And I think that's a great point. Great
Would you
point, Tim.
would you agree? It's
Absolutely.
something that hit me there. Would you agree that you already saw yourself being successful when you walked in? You already had it. It's like, I'm already successful. Like, let's get to work. Let's do this.
I think it kind of ties into our whole subject. I saw myself being successful, and I view myself as a confident person.
Hmm.
But on the subject of tools and technology, I saw that the business owner was willing to invest in his people. He was providing tools. He was providing that path to upward mobility. And all you had to do was just reach out and grab it, right? And
Mm.
I feel like people can sense that the second they walk in the door, right? I mean, it's kind of like that first date, right? Like, you
Yeah.
know, kind of off the bat if that chemistry's there or it's not there, right? So what can we do to, like, I mean, of course, if we brought, you know, if we're meeting up with a date, we pick her up or him up in the car, we're going to make sure that car's clean, right? We want to make sure the car's clean, it's tidy, it looks nice. Maybe we got the oil change so we're not breaking down on the side of the road on the way to the restaurant, right? We want to be prepared. And I encourage everyone to bring their best game, you know, to this day and age, right? Your candidates, anybody that's looking at your opportunity, the reality is they might be looking at 6, 7, 8 opportunities simultaneously. So what sets you apart, right? What's your wow factor? What's your why? What's their why? How can we help them achieve that why, right?
Mhm.
I mean, on our morning call today, you know, with the leaders over here, you know, something that really resonated with me was, you know, what's your guys' goals? You know, how many business
Oh yeah,
owners
that
out
was
there,
huge.
how many business owners out there every year are like sitting down in the beginning of the year and literally going through each employee's goals? Like, hey, you know, what are we working on this year? I got one agent friend that shared this with me the other day. He said, you know what, we always set goals, and it's my biggest mission to help them achieve those goals, because I know if I do help them, they're going to help the agency succeed in a massive way. He goes, right now we're working on a down payment for a house. We're working on buying an engagement ring, and we've got a newborn on the way here in the agency. And that resonated with me. I was like, wow, we're not just trying to hit a goal. We're trying to buy a house, and we're getting married, and we're having babies. Like, let's go. You know, that's powerful to me. So
Right,
Mm.
right. People treat things different when the goal is aligned and it's understood. When it's not clear, then then you get like some friction. You get people like, why what are we working for? What are we well, like why are we working this hard towards this? Like I'm tired. I don't have
mm,
this.
See, one
S-
thing I struggle with though is I look at people's personalities, and there's some business owners that I've worked with, that I've worked for, that are very in their shell, and like they're very almost like engineering minded, and they're maybe not that personality that's creating that environment, just literally based on the way they're wired, and also based on the way they were raised too.
mhm.
Because I know like we've got a totally different mentality towards what we expect as employees or team members than maybe employees or members expected in the 70s, when it was like, how, people didn't speak back, people didn't have like these in-house discussions at their company about how to improve their culture. It's like, do you want the job or not? Do you have a work ethic or not? So I think like, uh, I don't know. Have you guys worked with any agency owners that maybe were a little bit more old school, that struggled with that, and that were able to like come out of their shell a little bit to, I don't know, think this way, even though it might be like not a lot of fun for them? I know it's fun for us, but
you know, I think most business owners, right? They're in that position because they're willing to try and adapt. And I think if we're not willing to adapt and grow, I mean, if we're not growing, we're dying, right? So I think, you know, most of the agency owners that, you know, we talk to and we work with, I feel like are really excellent at that, you know, but there definitely are some that, you know, maybe just from doing like a quick self-evaluation, like, you know, giving yourself that survey, like what's the 20% of what I'm working on right now that I'm just not that
Right.
great at, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, maybe I'm not the best at this, and just kind of taking that introspective look at yourself on a regular schedule, right? Like make it a part of your team's routine. Like maybe once a month you're going through that with your team, and once a month you're going through that with yourself, right? Because I think it's real easy to kind of take on those responsibilities, and then you kind of get in a certain way of doing stuff, and it's hard to kind of, you know, shift and tweak that, and yet the world's changing so quickly. So you know, I'm gonna sit with that for a minute. Let me digest and unpack that question a little bit more, and I'm sure I'm gonna have some more for you there. I'll let Tim jump in.
no, it's good.
Oh, he seems under 30, as young as 18. Agent started an agency at 21, finishing up college. She constantly monitors us on how she made it all possible. Yeah.
Diana, thank you. Yeah, and here's one thing I'd say then. So like for you, perfect case. You don't have to be the one driving that, or driving that technology, or driving that environment. Seriously, like you just have to find, either a whole team that's like, we have permission, because I think a lot of times people they don't even know if
Mm,
they have permission. And I went and worked in a call center in Las Vegas. Place had been mismanaged horribly for about a year. So there were a lot of really scared people working there, right? And I came into the call center as the call center operator. And as soon as I came in there, I went and bought everybody's plants for their desks and posters for the walls, and I got a brand new Keurig. I cleaned out the kitchen. I loaded it up with like 200 cups of Keurig on this big shelf, every creamer you could possibly imagine. Like I loaded them up on my first day, and like I didn't do it in a way that was like, look how awesome I am. I was like, hey guys, can you help me get some crap out of my trunk? You know, and they like came and I was like, all right, so this is what we're gonna bring in here. Can you guys help me? So we all loaded it in together. Here I am, like, you know, the manager on day one, like sweating my t-shirt, loading stuff in, and it sets a new bar of like, oh, cool. This is okay. So this is a cool office. So like if you're missing that cool office factor,
Mm.
like go to Walmart today at noon or 1 o'clock and get some of those exercise balls that are like they can hold up to 200 or 300 pounds that you can sit on. Buy like 5 or 10 of those. I'm serious. Like this is your business, right? This is your livelihood. These people will help
They have
you
them at Five
either.
Below. So they're
Yeah,
$5. They have them at Five Below if you guys are wondering.
yeah. There you go. Depending on how you do this, it's not complicated. You don't have to sit here and like think about like how do I create this like buzzing culture. It's like literally like if you don't know what else to do, load your place up. Google does it. Like you guys ever seen that movie about Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson trying to get jobs at Google, and like
Hilarious. The
there's
internship, I think,
I
right?
never
beanbags
watched it,
and
but I heard about
Oh,
it. I
it's
never watched
you
it,
gotta
but
there's
watch it
like
yeah.
tonight.
pools
It's very
inside, and
funny.
it's just this really fun environment where people want to be there 24/7. So I mean, I just say like lead by example. If you're
Mm.
thinking like I don't know how to be hip, like you don't have to be hip. The stuff in your office has to be hip. And I'm pretty sure that if you don't know what that looks like, that you've got some 20 to 30-year-old on your team who could tell you what would spice up the office, and just listen to your team. That's my only point. Is
Mm.
just listen to
Oh
your
man,
team.
Andy, you brought up something that makes me think. What if what if that's a project to get everyone involved, and their little spin that they put on the office is what keeps them there. Maybe that's what it is. It's like, all right, cool, I've implemented this, like I'm here to see this grow. Or I remember when I put this in, maybe it is the plant situation. Maybe it's just plants on everyone's desk and they're just there. They love seeing things sprout. So they're there putting in the work and they're watering things every day, but they're in the motion of doing things.
Being in touch with like their environment. Yeah, that's what you're
Right,
saying. They're not
right.
coming into like this scary desk like, oh geez, here we go.
Oh
Here's the
God, I suck.
gauntlet.
I suck every day. I gotta get better. I gotta do this, and it's something that takes them off for one moment to recalibrate, and they get back to it. Like, okay, great. I wasn't even thinking about this. So when they they're not thinking anymore.
Mm.
They think they. I feel like one of the things that changed, that could have changed where we work, was where we worked before was that was a beautiful office, right? It, it there were it was inside of a bank, more or less, or what it used to be a bank. People came there, they raved about how it looked. He always added things. Like he built that new place behind us, and he bought that building.
Yeah.
But someone was looking forward to they were looking forward to things. So they didn't have a problem with doing their job. It was exciting to make the call. It was exciting for customers to come in. And I think that's something that an insurance agency owner could take a page out of. Is like, all right, what can I add here?
And they
Instead of
ran out
yeah,
of space, so they ended up putting desks down the hallway. But it seemed totally natural. It
right.
seemed totally natural because people are allowed to have stand-up desks. Like people were allowed to have stand-up desks. That's a big thing, and it seems
Yeah.
simple, but like they may not even think that you don't even know that it exists, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, hey guys, here's a picture of this stand-up desk where you could literally roll it up and stand up half of the day and stretch your legs out. Does anybody want one? Everyone's gonna be
Changes the
like,
game.
yeah. Like when's the last time that you had a surprise Christmas morning for your team? They're gonna retire you. When did you have a Christmas morning for your team in the middle of February? You know what I mean? So like,
This is your investment too, right? If that's what I'm hearing from you. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
look, this is your investment. Like, what are
totally,
you
it's your
doing?
investment. These are your kids.
Yeah.
We just
Like
had a
What are you
chat
doing?
message come through from Diana, and it says, we recently moved offices. Our agent took suggestions from everything from
ooh,
the flooring to the furniture to make sure that we love the space that we worked in. And I'm like, I'm sitting here and that gave me chills, right?
yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
goosies.
what if, the employee could have some input on, their surroundings? They're going to obviously be looking at this every day. They're going to be interacting in this environment. We want them to sound happy, be happy, put them in that happy environment. I love that.
How
Can I
often?
oh
How
go ahead.
often should they change?
How often? As
Yeah.
often
How
as they
often?
as I would say as often as they need to without like disrupting. Like you can't, every 4 minutes
We're moving
they'd be like
dust.
feel like my 4.5-year-old. I walk in there and every day the bed's in a new corner. I'm like, what is going on in here?
Hey, look, he's a creative though. You gotta let him do
Yes.
his thing. I think he's on to something.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, just not
Mhm.
to jump too far off topic there, I did want to share a little golden nugget with everybody that I'm sure some people are aware of.
Hang
I
on,
don't know if
Brett.
everybody's aware of it.
Brett,
So
before
I
you
just
do
want to,
that,
yeah,
did you say there's a golden nugget alert?
there's a golden
Uh,
nugget alert.
Okay, so I'm sorry guys to interrupt, but we said on the last go around that when we had a golden nugget, we were going to do the air horn. And so because we're talking about tools of technology, I'd say an air horn is part of that process. The problem is this big machine button is not loading for me. So if you guys have a good air horn app, please send it to me with here's your
I'm
air
on
horn.
Amazon
All
and
right,
I'm having
we're
one.
ready.
I'm having a real air horn sent to your house right now.
Thank you. Thank you. So Brett, I'm gonna mute myself because the air horn was me, and I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead.
So just want to start off. I feel it's prudent to let you know that this is not financial advice. So just want to throw that out there. Please consult your CPA or accountant. But this is one thing I found yesterday, and I'm sure some employers are aware of this, especially with the tax season coming up, but maybe some aren't. Many, if not all of you, have invested into Team Hired. So I wanted to give you some ways to maybe get some credits and some of that money back from your investment, right? The government has issued a employee retention credit program. So you can basically get up to $10,000 per employee that was employed during the pandemic. Now, there are some definite regulations that go along with this, specifically regarding your gross receipts in specific time ranges. So you got to kind of take a look through here. We'll be sending out the article to this. So if anybody isn't aware of the employee retention credit, you can get up to $10,000 per employee with some slight proof of reduction in gross receipts. So I'll send that out to everybody, but just wanted to make sure that we had some time to share that.
I just dropped a link, Brett, in the chat for everyone. That's awesome.
Awesome.
So,
it went to hosts and panelists.
yeah.
Yep,
Oh, it went to,
that's everybody.
Sorry. I'll
Yeah.
go everyone. So Brett, you're saying that if they show up to a Team Hired Elite Performer Club, there's a chance that they could get $10,000 per team member just for being here and learning about that. That's awesome.
That
Love
is
it.
what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying.
That's very solid. That's awesome. Thank you
How many
so
of you
much for
guys?
sharing that.
How many of you guys have actually looked into that yet? Anyone just out of curiosity? I'm sure you may have been aware of it, but if you weren't, I'd love to know because we heard mixed signals from everyone.
Yeah.
Some folks have heard of it, some haven't. Has anyone done their taxes yet and actually taken advantage of that employee credit? Kind of curious. Andy's falling out of the screen. And I love how on the technology day, can I just say on the tech day, I love how you went back to the black and white. So it kind of looks like you're in like a 1960s movie for tech day.
Can we
Did you do
talk
that
about that?
intentionally?
So
Sepia.
does anybody in the audience right now, would you like a quick tutorial on how to like snazz up your Zoom and make it look really good?
Talk about tech.
Quick,
Yeah,
quick
absolutely. I do.
5-minute how to make your, because we're all on video all the time anyway. You want to be like the crazy agent on the market call. They're like, who's that guy? Who's that
Does
girl?
anyone want to be the crazy agent on the market call?
Does any-
Yes over in
You
the
know what I'm
chat.
saying?
Of
Like
course.
everybody's got their video off, nobody's there, and all of a sudden, like I was on a market call yesterday. Boom, fisheye camera lens down on this guy's office. You see his desk, glass behind him, his entire team. It was lit up, and I'm like, that's awesome. Like when this guy does business, or he's talking to bankers or mortgage people or whatever, or he's on a market call. Like he's saying everything's everything. Like if my company's great, my Zoom call is great too. So like I'm not gonna have a fuzzy video and try to build a $20 million company. Sorry.
Look at David's message in here. I love this
I have a
strategy.
screenshot of my office building, a wrapped car as my virtual background. What? David, can
He's
you
got a
send us
wrapped
picture of
car.
that?
So he wrapped his car. That's one form of marketing. Now he's using it in the Zoom background. I freaking love that. That's amazing. You got the screenshot of the office when they walk in the door. They've already seen it. That's amazing.
All right, so here's the technology piece then. So technology piece is this. All of you trying to do a virtual background without an actual green screen or paint, or you can buy Disney green at Home Depot. You can get a canister for $25 and paint the wall behind your desk. If you're not doing that and stacking it with a couple of studio lights from Amazon that cost $10, then you're always going to have the nice fuzzy edges around your head. You guys ever see where like stuff is, it looks like there's a ghost? And
Like
so, yeah, so the key is like this thing's a green screen. So if I'm going to share out this technology with you right now. It's called OBS Studio. Okay. OBS Studio. It's freeware. Doesn't cost anything. It's used by like ABC and Fox News on a local basis. So this is not like a I'm not going to get you guys loading up with viruses. This is like a very reputable company. So OBS Studio, and I'll share out my screen. And OBS Studio is what I use when I'm doing a presentation or I want to have a cool background. But here's like studio level grade casting software. And so with this, input your webcam as a unit. You can literally just download the software, hit the plus sign. Here's your webcam. But then once you select your webcam, you can actually. I think it quit. I think I broke the computer by casting my.
Difficulty there.
No, it broke it, guys. I'm sorry. I guess I can't show that software on here, or the computer like implodes on itself. I didn't
Oh,
know
wow.
that. So don't do that on a Zoom meeting. But the point is, you download that, you plug in a video, and you throw a green screen behind you. $20, $30 on Amazon with a frame. The lights are $20, $30. It's $100 total equipment sitting behind you or in front of you with lights and green screen. The software is free, and if you call me or us, get a hold of us, take 10 minutes on a phone call to set it up for you. It's unbelievable, because what you can do is you can cut it out to the point that when, like, if you're a female on this call and your hair goes like this and you hate how it blurs, or you got a headset and you can always see the office through here, but then on the outside it's cut out. This will solve that problem. So like inside your headset holes, and if your shirt moves or you're moving fast, it's going to stay clean and clear, to the point that I've had people think that I was in like Copenhagen during a call, literally, because I had a video of Copenhagen playing OBS. You can just drop a video in. You can go to pexels.com. This is really fun. PEXELS.com. Pexels.com. I'm going to put it in the chat. They have tens of thousands of free pictures and videos uploaded by artists that are royalty free. So if you guys have spent hundreds of dollars on iStock photo to buy photos, you can get better grade photos than that for free, right? I should do a camera grab for free. Seriously, it's insane, because you'll pay $200 to $300 for a stock video to throw in your background. You can go on Pexels and download 50 of them for free. Another good source, if you guys want good videos, good flyer outlets, good graphic templates, is Envato Elements.com. Okay, Envato Elements. And we're talking about backgrounds and stuff. Some of you are going to be real creative with that. Some of you are going to want to be in outer space. Some of you want to put a nice clean company logo. We got David over here literally wrapping a car and throwing it behind him. But the point is, Pexels.com and EnvatoElements.com are both one of them's free. Envato is $30 a year. They have tens of thousands of royalty-free backgrounds. So at Team Hired, what you'll see is we rotate backgrounds as a team, and we have different creative people in the company that like to create backgrounds. And they'll say, hey guys, I made a Halloween background, or I made a Christmas background, or I made a New Year background, or whatever. I made a winter background, and they'll send it out to the team. And whether they're using Zoom or they want it to look real crisp and they're using OBS Studio, now you've got a whole company operating off of that. So if you guys go into a training together, or you do a company call, or you've got remote employees, I don't know about you, Brett and Tim, but like I feel like the morale in our company, because we have kind of this established, like, hey, here's the background of the month, is really kind of cool, and it gets the team engaged in a different way. But OBS Studio is the technology. Pexels.com or EnvatoElements.com is where you can get stock video for real cheap to throw in once you have a green screen. And then Amazon.com, just search green screen light combo. You'll probably find one for like dirt cheap, because when everybody went remote for COVID, all these companies started making a bunch of this stuff for home offices. So you can probably set up lights and a green screen for $30 or $40 for your office. So
I'm wondering if the group here would find value if we put together like a quick, like 5-minute recorded tutorial that they could check out at their own leisure on how to set up their Zoom meeting to, show that anything they do is everything that they do. Is that something that the group here would see value in?
Don said yes, please. Okay.
Okay.
Don,
Awesome.
good enough. Consider it done. So like a Zoom presentation orientation kind of pre-recorded video for everyone, where they can go through and like sit with it and like play with it. And
got another one. Yeah.
tech challenge, but you're not car wrap challenge. So you teach us about the car wraps, and we can teach you about the tech piece. That's fine. I like it.
Yeah, just a quick little walkthrough that can show them, hey, you need this, this, and this. This is where you go in. This is where you upload the stock image or whatever. And that way it's kind of a nice, easy step-by-step tutorial.
So with 5 minutes left, can we get one out of the box crazy tool, something from our audience members here, something that and we want something disruptive, right, guys? Like we don't want the run of the mill like email marketing tool. We want something out of the box, right?
I was gonna say bomb. I'm gonna take it back though. He said we want something different.
We want something crazy. Who's got the craziest piece of software or technology or use of social media or something in the new age space that you've introduced that you're willing to share with the group? That's the big thing. We don't need anybody
Man.
here who thinks that there's a lack of available success. Who's
I'll
like,
give you
I don't,
one.
I'll
I'll
tell
give
the
you
whole
one,
world.
Andy.
You
I'll
got
give
it,
you
Brett?
one.
Okay.
I'll kick it off and let them type in all the answers because I know those answers are coming in right now. But one
This
thing I
gold
think we
nugget?
did, one thing I thought we did that was really fun a while back was we had our entire team engage in a TikTok challenge. Everybody downloaded TikTok. We created quick little videos. We put it out there, and the video that got the most likes, the most views, they won the contest. And there was a little gift card associated with it. But just through that, I mean, literally everybody in our organization created a TikTok and put some content out there, and it was just a really nice way to get some free advertisement.
Yeah, yeah. That blew my
Any
mind when
other?
they said that. Like, hey, let's all generate our own
Yeah,
stories of like why the company's great to work with and why people should do business with us. Like, it just makes so much sense.
love it.
That's awesome, Brett. Um, that's why you came to this call, right? You want to learn new stuff. But if you guys do have anything you think of and you want to send it over afterwards, we'd love to learn from you all, what technologies that you're using. And then I'll just, I guess, kind of move us towards a closeout here in about 3 minutes today. And I really appreciate you, Brett, and you, Tim, like going through this stuff. And I feel like there's so much technology to go through that maybe this is a type of call. Maybe we should continue into maybe next week even and talk additional technology because I hear all the time on Facebook like, hey, can somebody teach me how to use Zap, or can somebody hook up my email, or can somebody talk to me about their automation they're using for direct mail? I mean, what do you guys think? Could we continue, and in the audience as well, like, would you guys like us to just continue this type of a discussion into next week as well? Because I thought it was, for me, I learned a lot from you guys.
Yeah, totally. And if there's any technologies or products or services that you want the team hired guys to dig in on and bring that to the group call, the Elite Performer Club next week or the week after, just let us know. We'd be happy to do some research and dig in on any specific technology or resources you're looking to learn more about.